Hi, I'm Ashley, and today I'm here with Dustin Helms, founder of the Helms Group. How are you doing today?
Great, Ashley. Thanks for having me.
Of course, happy to have you here. So, Dustin, how do you stay updated on industry trends as a franchise consultant?
Well, that is, there's a lot to that question. One of the things that we do is we're constantly looking at franchises and understanding which ones are growing, which ones are shrinking, which ones have territory available in a particular market, which ones don't, all of those different kinds of factors. But in addition to that, we're always reading news. For example, if I have clients of mine who are looking at a particular type of franchise, then one of the things that I'll do is I'll set up Google alerts where I can always know anytime there's an article that comes out about them, I read that article immediately. I also encourage my clients to do the same thing. And so it's just information. It's information that we gather through our network because in the consulting world, we're all very well connected. So when a business is doing great or we have a client that's doing really well, of course, those are businesses that we talk about quite a bit because with what we do, we take a great amount of responsibility, Ashley, to protect their investment. And so, that it's very, very important to be informed, just as it is with any decision that you're going to make. And so we do a lot of that for our clients, but we also encourage them to do that themselves as well.
Okay, sounds great. So, what types of franchises are currently trending or showing significant growth potential?
Well, we just got out of a global pandemic. And when something like that happens, it changes your life and certainly changed mine in a major way. And, so out of that, two industries that have grown rapidly are the home services industry. People these days, they're working from home. Zoom has taken over the world. So they're spending money on their home because now they're spending time on their home. Me personally, I worked for a franchisor and was traveling all over the United States, pretty much living out of a suitcase. And so, I was never home. So I didn't really care about what my landscaping looked like or, any of those things. And so after the pandemic, that became more important. And then the other thing that I've seen a lot of growth in is the health and wellness industry.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people lost loved ones through that pandemic. There were a lot of just heart-wrenching, tragic stories that came out of that. And so, people I think are more acutely aware now that like we only have one body to live in. And so you better take care of that body. And so we've seen an enormous surge in both of those categories as a result of the pandemic. But, they were there before the pandemic, and they're going to be there long after the pandemic as well. And so, there are industries certainly that aren't going to be going away. I would consider them very recession resistant as well. So they're a good bet as long as it's the right type of business for you in terms of like what you're going to be doing in the day to day. But that's part of what we do in our process.
Okay, thank you so much. That was awesome. Can you provide some examples of successful franchise models and what sets them apart from others?
Ashley, one of the most important things that I see in successful franchises and unsuccessful franchises is the leadership. I sometimes, here we live here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, right? So like a lot of the franchises that you've heard about before, they don't have territory available here anymore. The other franchisees have bought that a long time ago. So sometimes we're looking at what is the franchise that's at the right point in their growth cycle where they've proven that they have like the right stuff, but that they still have good territory available in this market, right? And that's very tough to navigate. But I do that all the time because the majority of my clients are right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And so, one of the things that we do is we analyze that and we get to know the leadership team. And the ones that are in it for money, those are the types of businesses that I tend to stay away from because they just don't have the right intentions, right? On the other hand, I love stories of like where the founder has, started this business and their entire career has been in this same field, and they just have been polishing their business and polishing it and polishing it. And they've got something that is just so unique and so great. And then they decide to franchise it. But it's not something that they're doing for money. It's something that they're doing because they love their business. Mm-hmm. They want to see their business become a nationally known household name. Yeah. And most importantly, they want to help share in the success of other people as well. And so I think, knowing who the owners are of these companies is very, very important, because it sort of sets the stage, if you will. Some of these franchisors, like, I feel like if there was ever a problem with one of my clients as a franchisee, like, they would be willing to get on a plane and come down to that market, roll up their sleeves and load that tortilla or do whatever they needed to do to like make for sure that they're successful. And that matters, especially to me and especially to my clients.
Absolutely. Their heart's in it.
100%.
Okay, and so the last question that I have for you is, how do franchise consultants help individuals determine if they have the necessary skills and experience to succeed as franchisees?
Well, if you're lazy, don't buy a franchise. I mean, that's not going to work, right?
Yeah.
So, you have to be willing to work. Most of the clients that I have, they're coming from corporate America, and they've been working too much. Corporate America just takes everything out of them. Nights, weekends, give up, can't go to that baseball game, those kinds of things, right? And so, I think you can't be lazy. You have to have a little bit of tenacity, a little bit of hustle, a little bit of grit, all of those things. But most importantly, really, is mindset. The mind is incredibly powerful. And, so if you believe that you can, then you can. And a lot of that is determined by how you go through the process, right? Like, if you haphazardly just go onto the IFA website and look up franchises and go, that looks good, and buy it. Then after you buy it, you might think to yourself, well, did I make a mistake? But if you take the time to do your diligence along the way, then when you get to the end of that process, like, you should know, and I tell my clients this all the time, there should be no doubt in your mind whatsoever that it's the right business. And you will know that if you work with me, because I will make for sure that you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. And that way, when you get into it, it's not all candy canes and lollipops, as they say in franchising. It gets hard. And there's going to be good days. There's going to be bad days. There's going to be days where you're like, what have I done? And there's going to be days where you think, man, this is the best decision I've ever made in my life, right? But mindset is going to be critical. And if you go through that process to know that you've found the right business, then you show up, you implement the process that the franchisor has laid out for you, and it's incredibly replicable. It's so predictable. It's almost as predictable as the sun coming up each morning. And so if you don't want to fail, then get good help, get good experience behind you to make for sure that you know what questions to ask, make for sure that you do your diligence. Go spend some time, putting beans on those tortillas, right? Like, get to know that business at an intimate level, and you're going to be successful, because I believe that you can.
Awesome. Well, I think that's a great note to end on. Dustin, thank you so much for stopping by to answer these questions this morning.
Thanks so much, Ashley. Thank you for having me.